Welcome to episode 18 of the Press Forward podcast. I'm Nathan Wrigley, and I'd like to thank you for joining us again. And if this is your first time with us, I hope that you like it and that you find it useful. Maybe you'd like to make listening to this podcast a regular thing. And if so, you can subscribe to us on your favourite podcast player. And this can be done by going to wpandop.org/podcast-feed. The Press Forward podcast is created by WP and Op. We're a non-profit working in the WordPress space to help you, your colleagues, in fact anyone. You can find out more about it at wpandop.org, and I would urge you to take a look. The work is just beginning, and we need your help to bring our support to the WordPress community. Maybe you could help us out financially. If so, you could go to wpandop.org/give. Or maybe you'd like to get involved with WP and Op. If so, then please visit wpandop.org/contact or look for the social links in the website's footer. Perhaps you'd just like to explore the content that we're creating. And if that's the case, then there's a blog at wpandop.org/blog. It's always getting fresh content, and it's a great place to go for a quick read. Last week, I mentioned a new project that we've launched, and you're going to find it over at head2.org. It's a bike ride being undertaken by Dan Mabey and myself and other WP and Op team members. It's happening next May, and we're riding from Berlin to Portugal. These are the locations of the previous and the next WordCamp Europes. The intention is to show that little changes can have a big impact over time. We're not athletes, and we're getting on with our lives whilst adapting them slightly to accommodate the time needed to train for this 3,000-kilometre ride. If you feel able, please spread the word about this project to others. The Press Forward podcast is brought to you today by Green Geeks. Green Geeks offers an awesome managed web hosting platform that's built for speed, security and scalability whilst being environmentally friendly. Enjoy a better web hosting experience for your WordPress website backed by 24/7 expert support. And we thank Green Geeks for helping us to put on the Press Forward podcast. If you happen to be a regular listener of this podcast, then you'll know that a few months ago we took a team to WordCamp EU in Berlin. I was tasked with interviewing as many WordPressers as possible. It was great standing in the corridor watching the nearly 3,000 attendees file in and out of all the talks happening. The fact that we chose the corridor was great. It meant that people could easily find us, but it also meant that there was quite a lot of background noise. But I'm sure that you'll be able to listen and enjoy the episode despite all that. These interviews were really varied, and you can catch the ones that we've already released in the Press Forward podcast feed. Okay, so on to today's episode. Today I talk with Petya Raykovska. She's been using WordPress for many years and is a huge fan of its potential. She currently works for Human Made, a rapidly growing agency. Although it's based in the UK, the team are distributed globally, and we find out how that works out for them. We also chat about Petya's input into the WordPress community, from organising WordCamp Europe, as well as a host of others, to leading the Polyglots team, the team tasked with the important work of translating WordPress into different languages. We get into how Petya has embraced the WordPress community, making real friendships along the way. Petya has also been spearheading the initiative of getting children into using WordPress, creating events specifically aimed at children, getting them to set up a website and explore the possibilities that it offers. It's a wide-ranging conversation from someone deeply involved with many aspects of the WordPress community. And so, without further ado, I bring you Petya Raykovska. I am standing in the where am I? I'm in the foyer between track 3 and track 1. It's WordCamp Europe. It's the first day properly. There was the
Contributor Day
yesterday.
Yes.
And I'm here with Petya
Raykovska.
Raykovska.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, you got it right.
Yeah. So Petya, tell me about, like, who are you here with? Are you here alone? Are you with your business? Are you with your company?
I'm here with a lot of my colleagues from HumanMade, but I'm also here with a lot of my friends from the WordPress community. I was a part of the WordPress community before I was a part of HumanMade, so WordPress my first family, and then I became a part of this wonderful agency called HumanMade.
Yeah, HumanMade is one of those agencies. The name just keeps popping up.
Yeah.
Are they really enormously big? Do they do lots of, high ticket items?
I was maybe the 18th person that got hired HumanMade in beginning of 2015, and now we're 70 people. So that's quite a big growth in the past. What is it now? 4 years? Yeah, just 4 years. HumanMade is one of those. I'd like to say HumanMade is one of the boldest agencies in the WordPress ecosystem, and we do a lot of kind of breaking stuff, literally and figuratively. We do break a lot of stuff, but we also like ground break a lot of stuff.
Oh, that kind of breaking.
Yeah, that's kind of breaking. Well, you can't really do anything major without first breaking.
No, that's
everything.
a good point.
But yeah, no, we are very progressive. We are bold. We do interesting, really challenging stuff with WordPress. We work in enterprise, which is always very challenging when you're talking about a platform that has an image of, being kind of a mid-level corporate website. No, we do huge stuff with WordPress. Yeah, and we are also contributors to the WordPress community. A lot of our engineers are core developers and or develop major features of important plugins. We have a lot of plugins on our own. We open source a lot of our work. We have a lot of people that are not engineers that contribute to various other areas in the WordPress community, myself included.
Nice. I have a memory, and this could be completely wrong, that your head office is in a place called Matlock.
That is true, yeah.
Matlock in the UK.
Matlock, yes.
Where I don't even know where Matlock is in the UK, but I know it's near where I live. It's in the north somewhere.
It's in the it's close to the Lake District. It's beautiful there. It's one of the most in the spring. It's one of the most beautiful places in the UK. I love Matlock.
And
yes.
So it grew from Matlock.
Yeah.
Or did the guys move from Matlock down to, I don't know,
Nobody
London
moved anywhere. We are completely distributed. Okay. So the first 4 people used to work out of the Matlock office, but that's how many people it fits. To this day, like, it doesn't fit more than 4 people.
I think it was never going to grow unless you went distributed.
Well, it just happened naturally. Yeah. They started looking for talent. They hired somebody in Australia. Right. They didn't really expect them to get the train every morning to the Matlock office. So, yeah, it kind of happened like that. And then, they started hiring people all over the UK, then Europe, and then in the US. And everywhere.
Are your developers then literally in all corners of the globe?
All around the world.
Everywhere.
Yes.
Australia, America.
Yeah, Australia, New Zealand, the US, all over the US, all over Europe.
Does that make it fun?
Asia and the other Asian countries. Yeah. It makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah, because you're meeting new people all the time. But also, do you actually get to meet them?
Yeah, we do. We have at least once a year. We do a big company retreat. It's very important when you're working remotely to know the people that you work with. It helps prevent a lot of issues. It builds trust. It builds relationships. And when you have a distributed environment, the relationships are what make people feel responsible, accountable, and caring about the other people that they work with.
So once a year, everybody together.
At least once a year. But we do go to a lot of WordCamps. So like small groups of us meet in other locations as well. Yeah.
So how do you do your sort of day-to-day work? How do you communicate with the other guys, the other girls?
We work through Slack.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So but a lot of us come from the WordPress project. So communicating across time zones and across borders is not something that a lot of us were unfamiliar with when we joined. So We do have a huge Slack instance. We do have 3 big regional teams. So we do collaborate cross-regionally as well. We schedule all appointments so that all the regions are kind of covered. If we can't cover every region with one, we schedule another on the same topic.
Okay. And let's talk about your relationship with WordPress. I mean, clearly you have a relationship with WordPress. You're here, you're very interested in it, you're keen. How far does it go back? What year do you remember first looking at WordPress and thinking, ooh, this could be fun?
Oh, 2007 was the first blog I created. I think I've been contributing since 2011. I started translating to Bulgarian. Then in 2013, I went to Leiden to the first WordCamp Europe, where I volunteered. And then from there on, I joined the WordCamp Europe organizing team. Later that year, I took a little bit more responsibilities in the Polyglots team. I became a global lead for Europe. Then I started leading the whole communication part of the whole translators team, just helping new translators on board from all over the world. So.
You're very busy.
Well, yes, I am, but we are a huge team. There are a lot of people that do a lot of amazing work.
Do you like coming to these events? Do you feel like it's a bit of a holiday, or do you feel like it's a bit of work, a bit of holiday, a bit of play?
I never thought of WordPress as being work in the general sense. It started with, just a deep feeling of satisfaction of doing something that impacts a large number of people. And then you start meeting these people in person. It's just nice to kind of expand your day-to-day with this rich cultural experience. WordCamp Europe is like that. It opens the door to a whole other world. It just kind of makes Earth a very small place all of a sudden, because there are people from everywhere, and the only thing you need to do is like be open-eyed and curious about everything that's happening around you. And it grows naturally. I don't see that as work. Necessarily, it's just the thing that I do.
And when this comes, do you get excited still about doing things like this? When WordCamp Europe or WordCamp wherever, do you still have that sort of like excitement about going?
I've always been very excited about WordCamp Europe. WordCamp Europe is something that is very close to my heart. It's the first WordCamp that I organized, the first WordCamp that I led. I was a part of the organizing team for 4 years, and now I'm coming as an attendee. I come as a speaker. I come as a workshop lead. I do various other things, and I come to see my friends, my kind of large WordPress global family.
Yeah.
Yes.
What goes on in the back? Because I've not in any way committed any time into helping here. I'm just
what goes on in the back? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. What's? I mean, clearly an awful lot. But how many people roughly would you imagine have been involved in this, and how long ago did they start planning it?
So, if you're asking about Berlin, I think there are a little over 60, 70 organizers this year. Last year was like 50 plus. The year before it was like 30 plus. And before that, like when we first Leiden was organized by 6 people. Sofia, the year when my country hosted WordCamp Europe, was organized by less than 10 people. Local organizers were like a team of 5. And then like it exponentially grew with every year. The number of attendees, the number of the people that wanted to come grew. So the organizing team had to grow. But it's a small, not a small, like it's a huge conference that is organized by a big remote team, and they start almost immediately after the edition of the previous edition finishes. The next edition starts. So for example, by the time Berlin is over, it's already clear who will host the next one, and the team is kind of prepped. The local leads are known, and then they open this huge call for organizers, for remote organizers. And yeah, they have a lot of teams. They have the communications team, they have the local team, logistics team, sponsors team, speakers team. There are so many teams that are doing Contribute Today team, doing different parts of this event and coordinating between each other.
Do you think helping out at events like this would be a good way to introduce yourself to WordCamp?
That's the best way.
Yeah.
Start with volunteering. This is the first step. Volunteer. at any WordCamp, not necessarily WordCamp Europe, like your local WordCamp, just volunteer. That's what I did. That's what I did the first time I came to WordCamp Europe. I was a volunteer. And you get an insider look into this amazing organization. You meet the people. You get a chance to demonstrate the things that you're interested in, and kind of make kind of a, I don't know, just a step forward if you want to go and organize the year after that. So yeah, volunteering is a great way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Do you like these big WordCamps, or do you? Well, not that you've got to have a preference, but is there a preference? Do you like the big ones? Do you prefer the small ones?
I love WordCamp Europe.
Yeah.
I love WordCamp Europe, but I love small WordCamps as well. I really like small WordCamps that are happening for the first time. The excitement and the kind of atmosphere of that buzzing first time experience of the organizers is very infecting. It's a really good vibe going on around a lot of them. I mean, local WordCamps that are happening for a lot of for a consecutive year. That's great too, because you again like see a lot of people that you already know, and you meet a lot of people that are there for the first time as well. I don't know. Local events are great. WordCamp Europe is just home.
I'm really surprised. I knew the numbers. I was aware that there was going to be 3,000 people,
yeah.
And then I arrived. And I was still amazed by how big it all is, and how what level of thought and attention to detail has gone into it. It's amazing.
The camp grew almost twice in size from Seville in 2015 to Vienna in 2016.
Do you think it'll get bigger? Is 3,000 like a ceiling, or are we aiming for 10, 4?
I don't think there is a special aim,
no.
But we're just trying to accommodate whatever number comes our way, just prep for that.
Yeah, you were saying earlier that you kind of like love the WordPress community. Do people that you've met at these events, do they end up being your actual buddies, your friends?
Oh yes, of course. Yeah.
You've got lots of like stories about meeting somebody at these kind of events.
I've traveled with a lot of friends that I met at the WordPress community. I have them visiting me in my hometown. I organize trips with them. I organize trips specifically to see some of them. I have a lot of really, really close friends that I met through WordPress.
One of the things that the charity has found out from the survey that we did quite a large survey recently. We found out that a lot of people working, well, we only asked WordPress people, so that's all we can say, but a lot of people, they find themselves to be quite lonely sometimes, and there's Bernard just trying to stab you or something. They find themselves to be like quite lonely, and you're going to say hello. Find themselves to be like quite lonely, and so one of the thoughts is, well, this is a great way to sort of break that mold. And so hearing stories about people who show up, they don't necessarily know people, but give it a couple of years, make the effort, buy the ticket, come, and real life supportive friends can come from them.
Yeah, and not only for extroverted people as well, because you can obviously you can tell from having met me like 10 minutes ago, I'm quite an extroverted person, so I don't have trouble meeting people, but a lot of people have trouble meeting people. And we've thought a lot about people like that while organizing WordCamp Europe. There are social events that are happening that are designed specifically to make people that are a little bit more shy and like not that outgoing. There are events organized especially for people like that to meet other people and to kind of find common interests. There we had like tribe meetups and speed networking events, and there are a lot of like little socials that are organized around common interests within the WordPress community. So these things are well thought of, and we realize that there are people that are shy and not really that outgoing, and that's absolutely okay. And WordCamps can work for you even if you're like that. Yeah, and volunteering, again, I can't recommend volunteering enough. Like, this will give you some context, some ways to like break the ice between you and people that you don't know, like common tasks and things to do together, immediately to jump into together immediately, like just make you get to know the people. And
yeah, it's a good. I've never really thought about it in that context.
Yeah, no, that's
working on the same task
exactly,
with somebody that you've never met. That's a great. Yeah, that's a great. I have in my memory reading somewhere that this week you did something quite nice involving like the family, the whole family, the children.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, because
I've been doing that for a while now. Well, so in 2016, I led the team for WordCamp Europe in Vienna, and then after that, I wanted to take a little bit of a kind of a break from organizing WordCamp Europe. First of all, because there were so many people that wanted to be involved, so the team could do without me. That was absolutely fine. And second, because I really wanted to try and do something a little bit different than I hadn't done before. Up until that moment, I had gone to WordCamps, organized WordCamps, volunteered at WordCamps, and spoken at WordCamps, and that was primarily what I was doing. And then in 2016, we came up with this cool idea that we might try and like teach kids how to set up their own websites on WordPress. So we did it for the first time in Bangkok in their first WordCamp. And there were just a couple of kids that turned up, like 5 kids that turned up, but they had so much fun with us that I decided that I want to do that more. So organized it in Sofia, in Varna, in Macedonia, in like a bunch of other places. We organized one in London. I wasn't there, but just helped. I prepared this documentation for WordCamp organizers that want to throw a workshop for kids, and it's always so much fun. They just like set up their websites, that they pick a topic, they learn to create content, to add images, videos, things like that, to change their themes. It's like a game to them. They do so well with that stuff, so much better than like a lot of adults, but it's like their own thing, and they own their content, and we teach them about how this is their own space, and they can, create and use it to kind of express themselves.
And they don't come with any preconceived ideas either, do they? So this editor, as opposed to that editor, is of no importance. They're quite happy to use the new editor.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly. And it's funny because we use WordPress.com, and that changes weekly, literally. And it changes based on like what browser you're using and where you're from in the world. It like automatically, like you get a localized version if your browser language is set to German, for example, and then the volunteers that sit next to the kids are like, I don't know how to use WordPress in German. It's like, well, figure it out. The kid next to you knows it.
Do you do this with the parents in the room at the same time, or do the parents?
It's either or. If the parents want to stay, they're more than welcome to stay. If they want to just like, have a coffee while their kids are having fun in the workshop, they can do that as well.
That's great. And you personally get a bit of a thrill out of it.
Oh yeah. Oh no, definitely, yeah. Yeah, and we get a lot of volunteers. We get a lot of volunteers to help the kids, because we want every kid to kind of receive special attention, and kids move at different paces. We also organize it for an age group that is quite large. We organize it for kids from 8 to 14 years old. So that's kind of a big difference. So when every kid or every 2 kids get like a volunteer working with them, they can move at their own pace, and they can do, it doesn't really need to be a classroom vibe. It's more of a like playground vibe.
Oh, it sounds great.
It's really cool.
Do you do it on Contrib Day?
Yeah, we did it yesterday on Contribute Day, but we've done it during conference days. Last month in Vienna, we did it during the conference day, and it was still great.
Did you hear Matt speaking earlier? Just to change the subject, did you hear? Okay,
we'll
edit that.
What did Matt say?
No, nothing at all. I just wondered if you'd had a chance to see.
I usually like read summaries of Matt's highlights. Well, he spoke.
The reason I was asking really is because he spoke a bit about the future. And he just going 6 months into the future. So my segue from that was going to be, do you feel like WordPress is your future? Do you believe this community in 5, 6, 8 years will still be going strong in the same way that it is now?
Oh, I'm certain it will. It's already. I mean, let's see how it goes through like teen years. There's been turbulence in the past couple of years, but I mean, which teenager doesn't really experience that? No, it's been great seeing WordPress change and evolve and grow, and there's so much exciting stuff coming up our way. I'm sure that if there's one thing I'm sure of, it's that the WordPress community is not going anywhere. It's
getting bigger all the time.
Getting bigger, it's getting stronger. There are connections made despite like, rough patches and all that. There are a lot of people that are getting closer to each other. So
this statistic always keeps coming out, this 30-something% of the internet, and it just keeps crawling up, 30, 31, 32, wherever we're at now.
Do you know what percentage of that is in foreign languages?
I'm going to be ignorant and say I don't know.
It's more than 50% of all of the WordPress installs currently are in languages that are different than American English.
That's amazing. I read something the other day about the Spanish team having completely nailed their...
The Spanish team, the Romanian team, the German team, a lot of do you know how many languages WordPress is translated into?
I'm going to say all of them. I don't know, 100.
Well, no, there are thousands of languages, but we have it. We are able to localize it in more than 200, and more than 100 of those are close to 100%. So it's a huge number, and it's an effort from thousands and thousands of people.
It's interesting because a lot of the people who maybe listen to this maybe don't know how that stuff works. How does WordPress get translated? Because it's not magic, is it?
No, it's not magic. It's volunteers. You go to translate.wordpress.org, you choose your language, you pick a project, because you don't actually only translate WordPress. You can translate all the plugins and the themes in the repository in all of the locales that WordPress supports. So you go to translate.wordpress.org, you pick a language, and you pick a project, and then there's an interface that allows you to see a string in its original, and then a box that allows you to add the translation into the language that you've chosen.
You just get stuck in.
Yeah,
that's great.
That's how I learned WordPress.
Right.
Yeah.
Just translating.
I'm not a technical person, so I translated it, and that's how I learned about like multiple functions that I didn't even know existed.
Okay. When you sort of come to these kind of events, we're obviously surrounded by a whole bunch of people, and I have this. It's not even a theory. I actually believe that the people that make up this community are a bit different and a bit special.
How are they special?
Well, the way it kind of works for me is I've been to quite a lot of conferences that have got nothing to do with WordPress.
Okay.
And I've always kind of thought, I don't really want to go to this conference. I've always been thinking, I'd rather not attend. Whereas I get really excited about coming to these. And I don't know what the difference is. I don't know if it's like an open source mentality. I'm not sure.
No, this is not about business. It's never, a lot of it is about, like, a lot of these people make their living using WordPress, and a lot of people come here for business purposes as well, but the atmosphere and the overall vibe is never a corporate business environment and like, let's go build the future and sell a bunch of stuff and all that. It's always about, let's help people. Like, even businesses come here being like, well, we've built this thing, we want you to try it, we'd love you to try it, we want to hear what you think about it, and all of that. I know that that's the idea we come here with as a company, to just like build connections and meet people, share our knowledge, share our experiences, learn from others. That's how we grow our company.
Do you get that feeling though? Do you share my sentiment that it's
a
bit special?
The special feeling?
Yeah.
It's like, I feel very connected to this community. So of course I'm going to say yes. But I've never been a part of a community to the depth of, the way I'm involved with WordPress. So I have nothing to really compare it to. You should ask Jenny Wang. She is a part of the PHP community, and she can talk to you about what community is special and why. But this is my home, so of course I'm going to say everything about this it feels very special.
That's an interesting phrase. You just described it as being your home.
WordCamp Europe, definitely.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where it happens. It's just home is where all the people that you care about are.
When you come to these events, you said you were like an extrovert, so I was just wondering, do you come to primarily meet up with the people that you've met in the past, that you've exchanged?
No, not necessarily.
You want to meet the new.
At Contribute Today, I always love to meet the new contributors to the Polyglots table. It's like it's almost like discovering, every time you discover different people, different cultures, languages, and things like that. I come to see my friends, of course, but I'm open to meeting new people to an extent. People, you get tired, you want to like shove in a corner and kind of have a little bit of quiet time from time to time, that's okay as well. And it's okay sometimes to not like really feel like socializing all the time. It's okay to come just to see the your closest friends and like to kind of drag them into quiet places and catch up with them.
Yeah, I guess some people listening to this may never have been to any event like this before, and I suppose when you look at the websites and things like that, and you see the itineraries and you see the talks, you kind of get the impression that that's what it's about. You attend talks and sit in chairs and then go to the next talk and sit in another chair, and then at the end of the day go home. And for me, it's mostly about hanging out in the corridor.
Yeah.
I love that aspect.
It's a good mixture of everything, really. That's one of the good things about the conference growing to this extent, is that you can create a really neat schedule of like content that you want to be exposed to, but you can also like find a lot of time to interact with your friends, or to meet new people, or to hang out in the sponsors area, to like just walk around, to go see the city that's hosting the camp, to go to some of the recommended places that the organizer team prepared. You can do everything, and still like it depends on how you feel, what type of person you are, how new you are to the community. That your experience changes as you come to more and more of these events.
My kind of remit, if you like, for this next couple of days is to record podcasts like
yeah,
this.
there you go.
I have a purpose,
yes.
which is that. I'm just wondering, from your perspective, do you have like a human-made set of things to do? Do you have like a little laundry list of things that human-made would like to have ticked off by the time you've gone?
Meeting more people, getting introduced to more engineers we could potentially work with, project managers we could potentially work with, partners and agencies we can partner with. This is usually the human-made agenda. We don't come here to like sell stuff. We come to to create like friendships and make connections and share experiences.
Do you see that it works on that level? Do you leave at the end of it and think, oh, that was probably, in 2 days I achieved what I could do in X number of weeks on the telephone?
I don't really have a statistic like that, but I can definitely say that it's always amazing meeting people in person, and it's very, very useful. The thing I can say that about is quality time with my coworkers. That is what I can say that about. Like in a couple of days, we make sure we have enough time to kind of just catch up and have enough face time to hold us for a little while, while we continue our day-to-day stuff that mostly happens over the internet. Yeah.
Before we started doing this recording, I talked about the kind of the one of the primary purposes of this charity, and that is to give support back to people who might need it. Yeah. And you said that you were open for a conversation about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I am very open. I mean, it's easy. It's very easy, both in the open source community and in businesses that are primarily distributed and remote, to all of a sudden feel overworked and very isolated. So it's not something that we haven't come across. Like, on the contrary, it's something that you see a lot. You see it in the open source with people trying to contribute and like dedicating more and more of their free time, and like some people get really engulfed with it because, again, the sense of fulfillment you get from the fact that you're doing something for such a huge amount of people, you translate into one of the most popular languages, and all of a sudden thousands and thousands and thousands of people benefit from your work, and then you take pride in this. You feel accountable. You keep doing it more and more, and sometimes it can just swallow you. It can just become too much, and then people don't really realize that until they really burn out, and it's not a good feeling. So we kind of have to watch out for each other.
And at Human Made, do you have endeavors to?
Yeah, at Human Made, in agency life and business life, it's the same. Like, the accountability that comes from being a part of a remote team. We are all very autonomous in our work. We take kind of great responsibility in everything we do, but it also like comes with always like the expectation of always being there, always delivering, and sometimes life happens. So at Human Made, we kind of have policies to support that. Everyone knows they are free to come forward and say, I'm very tired, I am very burnt out. I am very, this last project exhausted me. I need to take on time off. We make sure people take enough time off. We make sure that if somebody reaches some kind of a breaking point, they're supported in many ways. Like time off is not the only way that you can help in ensuring people can disappear for a while. Is not the only way. You can ensure that we have policies for people to kind of see counselors. We have a lot of support that they receive from our people ops team, from their managers as well.
Yeah. If I may ask, do you have any personal experience with those kind of things?
I definitely do. Yeah. You're actually catching me in a very interesting moment in my life. I've been having some health issues in the past I'd say the past 2 years, and I've always felt um, very strong accountability about the work that I'm doing in the community and at Human Made as well. So it's always been hard for me to not work after hours or not take on a task immediately after it comes my way. And I've had a couple of periods of very unpleasant burnout situations, and at this point, because of my health issues as well, realizing that you need a little bit of an extended time off and leave is something that doesn't really come naturally to me. It kind of feels like, maybe this will be a burden, maybe this will be too much. But with the support of my colleagues, I've realized, that I probably need a little bit of a bigger break. So I'm doing that, taking care of kind of myself, talking to a professional about the issues that I'm facing, and trying to kind of navigate a little bit better my the balance between the thing that I do, which is it's not really my job, it's like what I do, and the rest of my life. I do have personal experience with burnout, and I would recommend to everyone that they just watch out for the people that they care about at work and in the community. They're very easy to spot symptoms of burnout.
And did you mentioned your sort of colleagues?
Yeah.
Did the people who aren't necessarily working at Human Made, the people that we're surrounded with now, did that offer you any support?
You mean the people that are here?
The WordPress community.
The WordPress community?
Friends,
oh yeah, definitely. Well, it's been amazing to see the Polyglots team just cracking on. Of course, I never thought that it wouldn't be able to go on without me, but it was really good to see that the foundation that you build with the help of others is helping people, keep going with their tasks in the community without you necessarily being there all the time.
Yeah. That's pretty amazing.
It is quite amazing. The best thing that has happened to me has been realizing in several areas, actually. Organizing events is another one. You organize an event, you prepare the documentation, and you kind of share enough knowledge with other people so that at some point you can disappear, and the event goes on super smoothly without you. And this is such a delight to kind of feel that it's almost a little bit of a controversy, because at the first you feel well, don't they need me? I feel I'm kind of expandable now. But on the other hand, you've moved on, and now you can do different things, and now you can move to another area, and there's always another area of the project that you can help. Happened with the Global WordPress Translation Day. This year, WordPress Translation Day for the first time was organized without any involvement on my part. It was an initiative we started in 2016. It was the first global distributed contributor day. It had meetups all over the world, translation meetups all over the world, happening in the same 24 hours, and a global live stream going for 24 hours as well. People joining from everywhere, saying what the language they translated. So since then, we've done it every year, and in the last 2 editions, I haven't been involved with organizing, and in the last one, I wasn't even there on the day, and it still happened, and the results are absolutely evident.
That's a really interesting revelation, isn't it? That life can go on.
Of course,
without, the team is big enough.
The team is big enough. There are always people that are going to pick it up, as long as you leave a strong legacy and you do the best you can to make it clear that everyone can get involved while you're doing your job.
I think I've asked everything I want to ask, so
Okay.
I'm just going to say, is there anything else you want to add?
I want to say thank you for doing this, and I think that the charity is really important. I want to tell everyone that feels isolated and lonely sometimes that's okay, and just like get busy around your local meetup or your local WordCamp, and you will instantly feel connected with others. I can absolutely guarantee that.
Thank you very much, Petya. One of the purposes of the Press Forward podcast is to lift the lid on topics that don't get talked about enough, to allow people to share their stories so that others might listen, and by listening they may gain an understanding that they're not alone. There are other people out there who have faced the same situations that you are facing. They have found a way through and can offer support to you on your journey. Maybe the person is already in your life, but they might not be, and that's what WP and Up is here for, to connect you with the support that you need. The Press Forward podcast is brought to you today by Green Geeks. Green Geeks offers a specially engineered platform that gives WordPress users web hosting that is designed to be the fastest, most secure, and scalable hosting available in multiple data centers. Their WordPress hosting makes deploying and managing WordPress websites easy with automatic one-click install, managed updates, real-time security protection, SSD RAID 10 storage arrays, Power Cacher, and expert 24/7 support to make for the best web hosting experience. And we thank Green Geeks for helping us to put on the Press Forward podcast. That's it for this week. Please let us know if you're enjoying this podcast, if you find it useful or helpful. You can reach out to us at wpandup.org/contact. And remember that there's a serious point to all of this, and that is that WP and Up is here to provide help and support. That help is available for you or people you know and can be easily accessed at the wpandup.org website. Please spread the word about this new podcast. Tell your friends and subscribe on your favourite podcast player. Together we can #press forward.